And Cuba is celebrating Fidel Castro's 88th birthday today, starting the party early with a special concert last night, the opening of an exhibition called Fidel is Fidel, attended by Elian Gonzalez and his family. That is Elian right there. Gonzalez is now 20 years old. He was only 5 when he was at the center of that bitter custody dispute back in 1999 between his father in Cuba and his Miami relatives after his mother died on a raft. Gonzalez talked about Castro with admiration last night, saying he made him the person he is today.
All right, folks, welcome back. And I play that because of the lunacy of glorifying the birthday party of a murderous thug dictator on MSNBC by Andrea Mitchell. And of course, Elian Gonzalez says Castro made me the man I am today, because it's a communist country. You can't be the man you want to be, right? Joining us is the great Brent Bozell, founder and president of the Media Research Center. Hello, sir.
Hi, Steve. How are you?
Good. That's not really on topic to what we're going to talk about, but it certainly is on topic to the left-wing media and their love affairs with dictators. We should run a poll. Who loves Castro more, Barbara Walters or Andrea Mitchell?
Probably Barbara Walters. But Andrea Mitchell's good. Look, did you notice that phrase that his mother died on a raft?
Yes, not escaping Castro's regime to give her son a better life, right?
My goodness, if you're doing a story on Fidel Castro, how do you omit the fact that she died escaping Fidel Castro?
Yeah.
Now, people don't escape Miami to go to Fidel Castro. They escape and die from trying to get away from Fidel Castro. But look, Fidel Castro has been the darling of the far left ever since he first came on the scenes in the late 50s. It's almost a bizarre cult that they have for him. They think that his is a Marxist paradise. I guarantee you, not a one of them will ever retire there.
Yeah, that's for absolutely sure. All right, let's talk a little bit before we get to your column, which is, I'm so glad you wrote it because it's something that's been going on in the media for so long, and you document case after case. I'm just teasing the audience here, but let's talk about the coverage of the shooting in Missouri and the unrest. What I find in the coverage is the media, of course, the cop is guilty already, and we need to know the name of the cop. And I don't know why we need to know the name of the cop when they're telling us in Missouri that he's bound to get death threats, and it's for the cop's own safety and the safety of his family. So what's your take on what we've seen in the media coverage of this so far? Does it remind you of Trayvon Martin?
Sure. Commission and omission. Commission, of course. It's Trayvon Martin all over again. It's the headlines that they wanted all over again. It's the spin all over again. That is to be expected. I was in St. Louis yesterday, and I asked people about that, and the response that I got from people in St. Louis was, we don't know. You've got different versions of the story. It's being investigated. They said, we don't know. But here is the bias by omission. When, oh when, are we ever going to get any reporter putting the spotlight on Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson, on the fact that they come to these places to cause trouble? You've never heard of Al Sharpton or Jesse Jackson ever going to one of these incidents and telling people not to do these things. You've never had anybody report the fact that there's a world of difference between breaking protesting an injustice and breaking into a store and stealing a TV set. Those are two completely separate activities. No one's pointing that out. They're acting like one leads to the other, which is so demeaning. So the coverage is not only pro Trayvon Martin all over again, but it simply will not tell the truth about what the radical black leadership community in Washington is doing to blacks around the country.
Right, and I had the mayor of the town of Missouri on yesterday. That story is linked on Drudge all day today, and he said the black leaders in his community, in his city, don't want Al Sharpton there.
That's right, that's right. You reported that. Where was that on ABC News? Where was Andrea Mitchell? Where was CNN? All these networks are covering that. How can they not cover the mayor of this town telling these people to go away?
Yeah, it's a darn good question. All right, let's talk about this. And I've been on this case so long, and you guys at Media Research Center, and I'm on Newsbusters all the time, newsbusters.org. great, great website. I get so much of my information from there. Videos, you provide transcripts, videos of the bias in the media, and it's an education for me and for everybody else, and everyone should check that out daily, at least multiple times during the day. And your story, Hide D, Showcase R, that appeared at National Review Online, is just so telling. The media will not identify politicians who get in trouble or worse if they're Democrats as Democrats, but yet they can't wait early on and often to identify Republican politicians who get in trouble as Republicans.
Let's take it from the very top. The labeling of party affiliation in a story such as this is absolutely critical. When you're reporting on a political scandal involving a political leader, how can you not give the party affiliation? That's part of the DNA of the story. We have seen over and over, year after year, this extraordinary occurrence where the media correctly report on a Republican that he is a Republican every single time, which they should do. And yet when it comes to a Democrat involved in a scandal, they not only don't give the label over and over again, but oftentimes they don't even report on the scandal. As I point out in the piece, for them to do it once is sloppy, it's reckless, it's irresponsible. For them to do it twice, I don't believe in coincidences. But what we produced in this piece was at least a half a dozen, I think it was 8 examples, and there are more of them doing it on a regular basis. It's shocking.
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt. You start with Kwame Kilpatrick, the Democratic mayor of Detroit, and that hypocrisy, and that was back, what, in 2008?
Yeah, in 2008, he is first indicted for all manner of bad stuff, racketeering, fraud, and God knows what else. It was covered, but there is no kind of national coverage that decides that it warrants a party affiliation from either ABC or NBC. How could they not name that the mayor of Detroit, one of the largest cities in America, has been indicted and then convicted? How can they not say that he's a Democrat? They did.
Yeah, and you go down a list, and you know what's funny? If you recall, maybe a year ago, less than a year ago, I had Larry King on, and he said, never once in 54 years in media have I ever seen media bias. And I predicted to him, because that day Ray Nagin had been, I guess, convicted, and I said, Larry, you watch tonight. The networks will not identify Ray Nagin as a Democrat, the former mayor of the city of New Orleans, and lo and behold, it wasn't too hard to predict, Brent, and sure enough, they did not. The networks did not call him Democrat.
Yeah, Ray Nagin was the face of the Democratic opposition to George Bush during Katrina. At every opportunity, they pointed out that he was the Democratic mayor of New Orleans. Then a funny thing happened. He was indicted. When he was indicted on charges of corruption, there was coverage by some networks. However, there was no party affiliation given. Then he was convicted. And again, coverage by the networks, no party affiliation.
And the danger here, as you point out in your column, now, let's look at now. Going forward, as the control of the Senate is at stake, and the midterm elections are coming up, and and you take it back to Todd Akin, and certainly they identified him as a Republican at the time, and they used the Todd Akin statement to portray the entire Tampa Republican convention in 2012 as a convention of rapists, basically.
Steve, it was stunning. In 2012, they could not, and to this day, they cannot stop pointing to Richard Murdoch, to Todd Akin, and to who was the third one? Christine O'Donnell, Delaware, New Jersey, and saying time and again, these people were the reason the Republican Party did not win. These were Republican failures over and over again. Okay, so what's going on right now? You've got the situation where Montana Democratic Senator John Walsh just resigned over this incredible scandal, first of plagiarism, and then of this unbelievably cynical excuse that it was post stress,
Right, PTSD, yeah.
Yeah, PTSD from his military service. The Billings papers, the Montana press, called him disgraceful and called for him to resign. There was barely any coverage, and the day he resigned, with the Senate in a balance where this could tip it.
Brent, you make that point so brilliantly in your piece. We're out of time. I thank you so much, Brent, founder and president of Media Research Center. Great to talk to you, sir. Take care. All right, folks, before we go, we want your opinion. We're running another poll. Should children of illegals be deported or educated? Go to newsmax.com/poll to vote. Give Me 5 is next.